Agree.
I have to ask this question because, like, you're in the Europa League final now. You're in the Europa League final. And I feel like I know the answer, but would you keep him if you won?
You know the answer. You know the answer. By the way, touch live facts. I know Spurs have got no chance of getting Eddie Howe. I was just saying listen, I'd love an Eddie Howe. I was just saying about I like how he is in press conferences and stuff. Look, I feel like he's a dead man walking in football terms. I don't want him. Look, you can win the Europa League. I feel it's been a nice run. Yeah, you've got to beat what's in front of you, but I think so far it's been a nice run, Mikes. And if you win it, I mean, it looks like if we do win it, it will be a one-off game against Man United. So if we win it, sure, thank you for winning the trophy, but unfortunately, he's not for me. He's just not for me, Mikes. Listen, I'm sure we'll get into this a bit later, but as you know, we're 16th in the league, only being propped up by the bottom three and you lot. And 19, I mean, Mike, you guys this season, as you already know, you guys have lost 16 games, right? Which I'm sure you're annoyed about. Yes. We've lost 19, right? We've lost 19 games of football. Sorry, winning the Europa League in a year where the Champions League clubs don't drop down and we've had an easy run doesn't make me go, yeah, actually, I was wrong. You should stay. It will make me say, well done. But now go somewhere else and win in your second season. He's not for me. I don't like anything about him. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a lovely guy to go and have a steak and a beer with or whatever, but I'm embarrassed when I watch us play. I'm embarrassed, so I don't want
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair enough, because as I said before, I've never seen Tottenham this bad. You're going to get a lot of the things from like the media, similar to how when we won the Conference League, obviously a lot of people were going at us for different reasons about when obviously people still wanted David Moyes out and stuff. If you guys win the Europa League, you're gonna have people in the media be like, "But he won Spurs' first trophy in how long?" And they don't care what fans think, from different perspectives as well, because it's a bit different situations. But you're gonna have a lot of that next season if you won the Europa League. I don't see Tottenham winning the Europa League as it not being toxic next season. I don't think it will get less toxic next season, regardless of the trophy for me, because I still see your fan base warring due to their different opinion with the manager, and I don't see it changing how the manager develops.
I feel like it would be our Ten Hag moment, if anything, Mike. I feel like it would be, I think everyone at Man U knew it wasn't right. Yes, he won the FA Cup, and that game against Man City kept him in a job. But I think everyone deep down knew, and it was more sentiment than what was actually the right thing to do for the club. And I think when your emotions get into, so I know emotions are football fans, but I don't believe that the decisions by the billionaire, the billionaires who hold the budget, I don't believe that their decisions should be made on emotion. Their decisions should be made on what's best for, I hate to say it, it's a business now.
I was going to answer, so then that leads me on to my next question. Now that I've got all three of you here, I asked Sava this earlier. If you win the Europa League, would you keep him or just get him gone still?
Chat to this man. Chat to that guy.
Fuck no. I told you, pack his bags. He doesn't even deserve a flight. You know what? If he wins it, he deserves economy flight. But if he doesn't, I've said it numerous times. Put him on have you watched Narcos? You know what the boats they used to go across the river to ship the cocaine, fam? Put him and his wife and kids on one of them boats and send them to Greece. Do you know what I mean?
Send him to New Zealand, bro, just to take the piss.
Or send him to even better. Send him to New Zealand. Like that. He can't be here whether he wins it or not, because it doesn't make up for losing 21 Premier League games. Now, you might be thinking, we haven't lost 21 Premier League games. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We've lost 21 Premier League games. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're losing this weekend.
You're not losing this weekend.
And we're losing against Palace because their man are on smoke. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's got to get sacked, man. He's got to get sacked. Because if we go into the Champions League with this guy, one, his talent ID is shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Two, if we go into the Champions League, we're going to get embarrassed. We could be at the bottom of both tables, the Prem and the Champions League.
Been fair. George, what about you?
No, he's got to get sacked. He's got to get sacked. For me, my turning point obviously was the results played a factor in it, but it was more the football, not the improvement in the performances on the actual pitch. Like I like to focus on the things that you can see with your eyes. So the football still hasn't improved. It's still not sustainable. Defensively, we still look an absolute mess. He has to go. He's not good enough. It's as simple as that. Like the trophy's all nice and we can congratulate him, but thank you. Next, like you done what you promised. You always win something in your second season. That's cool, but you left the club in an absolute mess. So we're just gonna have to move on from you, respectfully.
Elijah, what about you?
I feel like I'm in the minority with this. Well, I don't think I know I'm in the minority, but I'd keep him for a little bit longer. I ain't gonna lie. He would win. He would have proved me wrong because my whole stick with Ange is my whole stick. Yeah, I beg you play it.
Find out.
Nah, Jay, play
Fuck
the
around and find out.
Jay, I ain't gonna stop, bro. Unless you play the clip, I ain't gonna say shit. But you can't.
I don't even
it's not
have
in the
the clip. It's
StreamYard.
not my
Exactly.
choice.
So you gotta shut up. Exactly. You gotta shut up. But now my whole gripe with Ange is I didn't think his tactics were good enough to win a trophy of any type of magnitude. If he wins the Europa League, he's proven me wrong. So I wouldn't at that point have a reason to doubt him. Now, one thing I will say is everyone is pretty much in agreement that the players at the club, most of them anyway, aren't being used the way they need to be. Like Ange doesn't use them properly. But so at that point, I would be interested to see in what players do come in that would actually suit Ange and the style of play he plays, and to see if we improve. Now, if we don't improve, then yeah, Saka's claw in it. Like I'd probably give him, like, you know how United gave Ten Hag, like not as long as that, maybe like a couple months of the league, just to see, because if we're so sure that if Ange doesn't get players in that actually suits his system, we're going to be this bad. If we're that sure it's not going to be better, then cool, sack him in it. But if he's able to win the Europa League, no matter what the run is, because who gives a fuck what the run is? We want a trophy. If he's not able to improve the results after winning the best trophy we've won in how many years? Like maybe like 40 years at this point plus, then yeah, at that point, sack him in it. But I believe he deserves that chance because he's the most successful manager we would have seen in our lives at Tottenham. So
I've got a question. Would you agree though that we could end up in an Amorim situation where like we sack him, we do end up sacking him like United sacked Ten Hag, and then we need a new manager? But don't you think if we get a new manager, don't you think he would deserve a transfer window, time with the squad to actually, you know what I mean? Just ask him.
I'm convinced that Ange goes regardless, simply because as well, you have to remember we've got a new CEO, that Vinay Vinkancham, as well as Fabio Paratici has now been confirmed by Graham Bailey today that he's on his way back to Spurs. I don't think either of those were involved. Well, I know Paratici wasn't involved in the bringing in of Ange. Plus, that new guy's going to want to bring. You're going to want to do a refresher, like you just said there, Jay. Yeah, you need to allow that manager to have a transfer window. Otherwise, you will be in a situation where mid-season you have to bring in a new manager. The options are less. The manager's not going to have the time to implement, and you have to write off another season. We can't afford to write off seasons. We're not fucking a big club. Like, we can't just sit here and be like, oh yeah, this season we're not going to win anything again. Oh, this season, it's because we're doing a transition season. How many transition seasons have we had in the last 5? About 4 of them. Like, we can't do this.
No, I do understand where you guys are coming from, and to be fair, the best thing to happen for the club is to Ange to go in the summer anyway. So I'm only saying it in terms of if there's only 2 options: win the Europa League and Ange stays, or lose it and he goes. I'm taking win and he stays. But the best thing to happen is we win the trophy and Ange goes regardless. So I'm in agreement with you guys there. The one thing I will say in terms of the manager and the transfer window, again, like one thing I'll say is we got to remember the profile players we have at the club. They don't suit Ange ball. So if we bring in players that do suit Ange ball, that's automatically a complete different profile of player. So you're already diversifying the profiles of players that you'll have at the club in general. So it's not like a manager's going to come in and you have 24 players suited to one style of play. That's not how it works. If anything, we already have a mixture of players in terms of their profile and their technical ability that are suited to different styles of football. Like the most, we've always been talking about a free back is best for Tottenham right now. But if we're bringing in fullbacks that can invert, for example, because we know Poro and Udogie can't do it, if we bring in a fullback that's better at inverting, that's already a different profile. If we bring in a touchline winger who's a creator, we don't have anyone else in the club that's like that for real, who's actually good. We don't have a proper striker at the club. So if we bring in a striker, for example, because again, it's Tottenham, so I'm not going to hold my highs and regards up there, but like if we bring in a midfielder who's an actual proper holding midfielder, who's a destroyer, we don't have anyone in the club that's a destroyer holding midfielder. We don't have that. So, of course, a manager bringing in their own style of players, their own caliber of players, and having time to gel with the team would help. One thing I will say, though, is if you bring in players that are suited to Ange now and it still doesn't work out, you already have different profiles of players in the team. So you have a new manager that will come in that automatically has a lot of more profiles of player to go through. So in that case, you'll still be able to pick up chemistry with the squad. And the players that do come in, remember, they're still going to have to play into the team and get used to the players anyway. So player manager is still going to be the same kind of thing. And plus, we know players like Archie probably have to go out on loan. Mikey Moore probably have to go out on loan anyway. Tell's going to go back to Bayern because we're not signing him for 60 million. So there's still going to be a bunch of players that are going to be in and out of the squad. So whether it's the manager or the players, we're still going to have a big shift with the squad in general when a new manager comes in or if Ange ends up staying. So I think it's slightly over embellished in terms of the time the manager needs for the squad in the summer.
You know what's not just as important as like giving someone a transfer window, is giving someone a pre-season as well. Like you need a pre-season, especially if it's like a new manager. Like for example, I don't think like when managers win a trophy that are under pressure already, it's still not the solution of okay, they won a trophy, then give them the extra thing, because it happened with Ten Hag and it even happened with Moyes last season for us. I call it worse now, but the sacking of Moyes wasn't the problem. It was the hiring of the next manager. And I feel like what you're seeing with Amorim is kind of similar, like referring to what Jay said, it's kind of what you're going to see next season if you was to keep Ange, which you're probably not going to. Like for me as well, if Man United literally bought players that Ten Hag wanted in the summer and then sacked him after debatably trying to sack him previously because they couldn't get anyone else, Zerbi, Tuchel, whatever. And then Amorim hired in the middle of the season, and then they are where they are, sort of thing. Like I completely understand if you were still sacking, because I know what the media are going to do. Much I don't like Tottenham. I've gone through this with West Ham, where it's like you want a trophy, so you should be grateful and all that. That's what the media are going to do because they don't understand the fans' perspective of how they support their club. But it's not going to make it any less toxic, the trophy either. I'll say this to Sav earlier. Your fans are going to be even more divided if you were to keep Ange, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to keep him because of the trophy. There's going to be people that just want it out because it's not enough for them. People are still going to start fighting, like in like not physically, but obviously internally. Like it's still going to happen. It's still going to happen.